Former President Trump held his first rally since Biden announced his exit, criticizing the altered 2024 race. Take a listen.
Now, if we start beating her in the polls by 10 or 15 points, are they going to bring in a third candidate? It's like, Trump is killing this guy. All right, out. Let's bring in a new one. Out, out. And then maybe at some point they get one right. And the guy had 14 million votes. So much for democracy. They talk about democracy. He had 14 million votes, and they said, we're going to give it to somebody with no votes. She had no votes.
Pleased to bring right now in the host of Dick Morris Democracy, advisor to President Trump and former advisor to President Bill Clinton. And he's also a best-selling author. Dick Morris, welcome in. Great to have you. So we're watching Donald Trump. We're watching, the dueling speech and then Joe Biden in the Oval Office last night. But it is fascinating to see, the tensions around Netanyahu yesterday and how today there's one-on-one meetings. You have to wonder what Kamala Harris will seek to do since they've been pandering to that radical base.
Well, I think that Kamala Harris made the first major mistake of her campaign in failing to show up during Netanyahu's speech and, in effect, boycotting it. She claims there was a scheduling conflict because some sorority had a reunion. But in fact, it was a deliberate slap at Israel. And then to have those demonstrations burning the American flag at Union Station right outside of the Capitol at the same time is really awful. And I think that it's Kamala identifying with the far left. We have to realize that this woman is a far left politician from San Francisco who embodies the ideals and the values of San Francisco radicals. And by lending herself to this and by participating in effect in the split screen of Netanyahu speaking without the vice president in the chair behind him, and on the other hand, protesters ripping the flag apart and burdening it, I think you really have a juxtaposition of images that's going to hurt Harris very badly.
So they've been trying to, make her look like it's the future of the party, talking about the enthusiasm. Is there even going to be a honeymoon then for Kamala Harris, or do you think it's already over before it started, Dick? Final thoughts.
I think the honeymoon is headed for an early divorce, maybe an annulment. I think annulment would be better. There's polling out from the open of politics, and it shows Trump winning every single one of the swing states, most by more than he led against Biden. In Pennsylvania, he's 4 ahead, Nevada 8 ahead, Georgia 5 ahead, Arizona 7 ahead. And those are even larger margins than he had against Biden. And I think that his candidacy is a disaster from beginning to end.
Yeah.
And for it to launch is absolutely just horrible.
Yeah, it's funny.
Horrible.
She just spoke in Houston at the American Federation of the Teachers Union, and Randy Weingarten had to tell the crowd, please do not protest or boo her, and kind of, I'm paraphrasing, because they didn't know what the crowd would react to her. So interesting days here, and she's back at our nation's capital. We'll watch Biden's meeting in under an hour. Dick Morris, a pleasure to have you with us on such a busy news day.